Hey, this is Mike Goldberg, the voice of Bellator MMA. Join us right now for MMA Fancast.
You're listening to MMA Fancast. Here are your hosts, Jim Mooney and Luke Payson.
Welcome to the show. Today I am joined by Edwin Vera, a 2-0 undefeated amateur fighter who's going to be entering the 247 Fighting Championships cage for the third time coming up March 14th at the Princescape Arena in Canonsburg. Edwin, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. I've had the privilege of being cage side for your entire amateur career because it's been 2 fights. You fought and had your debut and won in July, and then you fought again and won by rear naked choke stoppage in November. And so obviously March 14th is 2 weeks away. Walk us through your 2 fights so far. What's it been like going from not fighting to then fighting in July and November? What have those fights been like for you?
Oh man, it's been really exciting. It's been fun for me. Like, me fighting and compared to because I used to street, I had fights back in the streets, and compared to the fights right here, right now, it's hard, but then it's also exciting because I get to push myself and stuff like that. And it's just been a real fun ride for me right now, and I want to keep it going.
And you are absolutely keeping it going. Talking about your 2 fights for a second. Your first fight was a split decision, which is a great way to get a win when you're talking about your first ever reffed MMA official sanctioned fight, because obviously there's a lot going on there. But what do you think the difference was between your first fight and your second? Obviously winning by stoppage is a preferred way of winning, although you'll take a win any way you get it. Well, what did you think was different between your July and November fights?
Moving around, not getting hit a lot. That's what it was, my first fight, I was getting hit a lot. I didn't have that much quite of a stand-up compared to his, and he was, throwing haymakers at me. He was hitting me, and the second fight, I was actually, I've been training from July to November. I got my stand-up a little bit better and stuff like that. So it's my first fight, I just learned I have to move and stop staying in the pocket and just having my hands down, which in my second fight, I utilized all those things, and that's what got me the win.
Well, it's great that you can see and analyze your progress. That's something that's so great about the sport, is that you can go back and say, hey, I want to get better every fight. And hopefully, come March 14th, you take that fight, you look at that fight in the past, you go, wow, look, I've improved since November. And that's what you want to do every time. You've been training at the Mat Factory. When did you start training at the Mat Factory? And what got you into MMA training whenever you started?
I started at the Mat Factory the last week of January 2019. I started fighting because I have my brother. His name is Oscar Vera. He's a Bellator fighter. He kept on pushing me, trying to get me to fight, and he says it would be good for me, to get me out of the streets, do something productive with my life and stuff. And that's who got me there. It was my brother. He kept on being on top of me, telling me, you're good for this. You could do this, and he's the one that put me there.
Well, that's great. Not only that you have a brother that's fighting for Bellator, but also that he sees MMA as something that can be helpful to you as a person. Fighting at the end of the day is a sport. It's something that, regulated fighting is a sport, but what's more important is what you get out of it as far as discipline and focus. And so that's incredible. And congratulations to your brother Oscar for being in Bellator. That's incredible there. Somebody else who you had the same role that Oscar had to you was just on this show, and that is Justin Pippins was on the show yesterday, and he came to your July fight as a friend to watch it, and then immediately started training at the Mat Factory afterwards, and now is having his debut on the same card you're on. What's it like seeing one of your friends get involved in MMA because of watching you?
Oh man, it's so exciting, man. it's like I was telling him, you know, the first time I seen him, like, have you seen Justin in person?
I don't think I've ever met him, at least not that I would know. He was at your last fight, and I was there, but no, I can't say I know him in person.
Well, just seeing him, just by like seeing him for the first time, you just look at him, and he's like a really big dude, and for a big dude, he could move, and you know, he was playing football, and I was just seeing like, I'm like, wow, like he's got this potential, and you know, like I want to see, you know, I would like to see him do something, you know. Let's see if he could do this. You know, I kept pushing him and stuff, and now he's doing it. And, like, it's the craziest thing is, like, since he's been in the MMA, he's actually been getting my game better. You know, half of the classes that I show up to, I wouldn't even been showing up to if it wasn't for him. One thing about it, Justin, he's very persistent.
So is he kind of dragging you to classes you otherwise wouldn't go to?
Oh man, he's banging on my window at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I did pick up on that from my interview with Justin, that, you know, he's used to pushing himself athletically, obviously playing football, and not just playing football. One of the things he brought up was that part of MMA is that you have to be good at learning a lot of different disciplines. And one thing that happens oftentimes in football is guys get used to just playing one role or one position, but he said he played like 5 or 6 different positions, both offense and defense in football, and it sounds like he's a hungry guy that constantly wants to learn and push himself, which will work very well in MMA. Now, getting back to you in MMA, what did you like learning the most? You said you had some street fights, so usually that's kind of whatever works. But what did you, when you got in MMA, what did you like learning the most? Matt Factor is known for grappling. Kind of what has your experience been once you started learning all the different aspects of MMA?
So, yeah, I've been at the Mac Factory for like a year already. The grappling is like awesome, you know, but like I still had like a couple of touches that I needed to do as in my striking and stuff like that. So I try to like reach out, and I went to 2 other gyms, the Academy and Stout Pittsburgh, which both of them gyms are amazing. Shouts out to them and their coaches, man. They're like amazing over there, both of them, and the connection that all 3 gyms got, I actually like it. You know, I get to go over there, they get to come over here. You know, it's different bodies, different types of fighting styles and stuff like that. And yeah, I've been really my striking. I've been like really like liking. Like that's the fun part for me, striking and moving a lot. You know, like I like grappling. Don't get me wrong. I'm a grappler at heart, but I just love striking. There's just something about me punching somebody and moving around and stuff like that.
Well, you're also bringing up the importance of constantly learning everything from cross-gym training to different styles of bodies, different skill of people, different backgrounds. And one of the things I think that's beginning to become really valuable in striking, maybe not if you go back 10 years, even 5 years ago in the UFC, but you have to be able to avoid getting hit just as much as important as hitting, you know. And there were some styles, whether it's Chuck Liddell or some of those older school guys, they were very much in the I'm going to hit you and you're going to hit me style. And I think it's really important that you're learning the technique that goes along with moving is so much, it might even be more important than just throwing. Because if you move, you're creating openings that wouldn't be there if you didn't move, and all those things, which is great. And you brought up the Academy, which is probably at this point best known for Kama the Death Star Worthy being in the UFC. There's a huge fight coming up in late April in New York. He's going to fight on the Habib and Ferguson card, which is just going to be insane. So hats off to the Death Star, Kama Death Star Worthy, yeah. But then he also has one of his buddies, not only his brother is fighting on the card, shout out to Chaka, but also his buddy who trains at the same gym, John DeJesus. So it's going to be stacked. Yeah. One of the things that 247 does really well is put on local fighters. And you've mentioned the 3 big local MMA gyms, at least in Pittsburgh, Stout, yours, which is the Mat Factory, and then the Academy. And then there's also some from us. I'm not trying to leave anybody out, but Ryan does a great job of showcasing local talent. Another thing that Ryan does, and I say this a lot on this program, is he's always trying to push the local fighters and give them good fights. And you're fighting a guy who's 1-0, undefeated. Obviously, he's only had one fight. But what's it like knowing that Ryan's getting you matchups of guys that are right along the same line you are, as opposed to somebody who's 1-4 or something like that?
It's exciting, because it's like they're like we're right there, almost on the same level. It's like gonna push me more. It just excites me when he does that for me. I just get excited, and it just pushes me more to become more stronger, more faster, more agile. And that's what I love about it.
Absolutely. And I think one of the mindsets among amateurs, both you and your buddy Justin, is you want to have the most progress in the shortest period of time. You've been doing it now for a year, and you're on your third fight, so that's a great clip. And to get the most progress, you want to fight people that are the toughest at that level, amateur level.
Correct.
Another question for you, amateur-wise, is you're 2-0 in the state of Pennsylvania. Once you have 3 fights and at least 2 wins of those 3 fights, 2-1 or 3-0, you can then go advanced amateur. Now, you're not fighting advanced amateur 2 weeks from Saturday, but I'm going to ask you this question anyhow. What do you know about advanced amateur, rule-wise, change-wise, and what are you looking forward to, which would be then your next fight?
I know advanced amateur, you get the kick in the face, there's elbows, you could get the ground and pound and stuff like that. And really, I'm actually kind of ready for that, because I've always been training that. Just because I'm an amateur doesn't mean I can't train, with advanced amateur rules or pro rules, So, like, I've been really training that, and I feel real comfortable. Like my last 2 fights, I was on the ground, and I was on the ground perfect. Nothing was wrong. I could have did ground and pound, and I got big faith in my ground and pound, and I just can't really wait to start doing advanced rules.
Sure, and you mentioned something. I had a pro on the other day who's going to be fighting and fighting for 247, Jeremy, and he was saying, so you're right along what he was saying, it's so important when you're amateur that you train styles that will work for pro. And his example was people in amateur MMA getting comfortable ducking their head low and out of clinches, and that's very, very dangerous once they can knee you, right? And he was saying that one of the things amateurs need to do in order to be successful at pro is exactly what you said. Put themselves in positions. Even though you have to follow the amateur rules, you want to put yourself in positions that would work for a pro. So be good on the ground, which would work for ground and pound. Be smart if you're going to clinch, so that once there's elbows and knees, you're not putting yourself in vulnerability. Even something like head kicks, which you're absolutely correct, does become legal in advanced amateur. I've seen amateur fights where the person very clearly just knows that somebody can't kick them in the head, and they don't protect it. They get comfortable with their head exposed, which will be a really bad thing down the road. So it's great that you already have that mindset of training for advanced amateur and pro rules, because it's going to actually make your technique better now and better then, which is going to be really great. I'm looking forward to seeing you. That's something that hopefully will happen in your next fight after this one. So coming into this fight, what do you expect out of yourself? What are you looking for yourself performance-wise?
Performance-wise, I'm looking to just dominate the whole game. I'm just looking forward to I've been working really hard, both on my grappling and on my striking, both on my grappling and in my striking this time. And I'm just looking forward to dominating the whole fight. I'm looking to take him out. I'm really focused, and my striking. I would really. I've been training on my striking, so I want to see how far I came with it.
Absolutely. That's the beautiful thing about training something and then being able to put it into action. One of the things that's weird about fighting compared to football, which we've brought up, is football, you train and there's a schedule. You know when your season is, whether it's Pee-wee or high school or college or pro, whatever it is, you know your schedule. Whereas fighting, you kind of do all this training and then hope that there'll be a fight for you. And so I agree with you. It's going to be great. Me, as sitting cage-side, I'm going to be all excited to see what your striking looks like against somebody who's also good in the amateur ranks. And then for yourself, it's always great to be looking for personal growth, to be better than the Edwin Vera that was in there last time, which is what's so valuable. Who are you most grateful for in this journey, whether you have sponsors or coaches or friends, support, family? Who has been important on this journey? You've mentioned your brother, so I guess we could shout out to Oscar Vera again. Kind of give me a summary of that.
Oscar, my brother, he's always been on top of me. He's always been a big brother, like he's always seen stuff that I never seen, and, he's always trying to push me to that limit. And ever since we were young, we had this competition thing between both of us, We always had to be better than one another, and it always helped us both in the long end. Like, a couple of years back in 2014, 2013, I was training jiu-jitsu on and off gi, he kept on, like, every time he'll be there, I'll be there, and, he just kept on pushing me, and I kept on pushing him. So it was always every time we went in there, it was always a progress thing, and it's always been like a little family thing between both of us.
Absolutely. And where does Oscar train now that he's a pro and obviously in Bellator?
He trains in Bronx, New York. I want to say his gym is called Masuko's gym, I believe it is. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I believe he trains in that gym.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's why I asked, because obviously at one point you had done some things with him, and now he's living elsewhere. It does show not only brother-wise, but it shows why training is so important to get it where you are. He's obviously living in New York. He's got to get good training there. We've known at the UFC level, people have actually physically moved their family and where they're living in their house in order to get to an area. That's why I think Pittsburgh, and that's why I'm so excited to be doing all these interviews of 247 fighters. I think Pittsburgh needs a really good regional MMA promotion, which I think 247 is doing, both to develop amateurs and to develop pros. We know that they've already launched Kama Death Star Worthy to UFC, and I'd say that John DeJesus is looking to be the next one to go to either UFC or Bellator from 247. You know, it's going to be his title defense, right? So it's really exciting because you've got all these great gyms, and I would like to think 5 years from now that Pittsburgh's become such a hotbed of MMA that people might be moving here to train at one of those three gyms you train at, or even another gym that is up and coming, because I really think this area can become maybe the Albuquerque, New Mexico from 10 years ago, when that was such a big place for a lot of people to move. So shout out to Pittsburgh MMA and 247 and all of that.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I can't wait to be cage side at your fight, March 14th, 247 Fighting Championships. Tickets available through your fighters, through Edwin, and also online. Get them. Be there March 14th at the Princescape Arena. Edwin, thanks so much for coming on. Best wishes in your fight.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.